Hey everybody, my name is Tori Brame and this is Holy City Mystic. Thank you so much for being here. So today I just wanted to talk about 5 things that you can do when you're going through hard transits. Now there are some classic hard transits out there that everybody has. Lunar return, when you're studying progressions, is one. Another one is your Saturn return. Oftentimes people, when they go through their Saturn return, that's when they find astrology, is because they are like going through so many things are happening, and they're like, there has to be more to the story. Like, why is all this happening to me right now? And then they discover astrology and they're like, oh, I'm going through my Saturn return. Well, that makes perfect sense. There are also other transits that not everyone experiences in a lifetime, such as Pluto crossing your moon, Pluto crossing your ascendant, some Uranus transits, some Neptune transits even. Depending on how long your life is, you might never experience them or only experience them when you're before the age of 10, and then they never come around again, just because the transit, it takes so long for that planet or that point in the chart to come around to that point again. So not everybody is going to experience Uranus going across their moon when they're 35. That might be something that is just you and your entire friend group and family experiencing this thing that takes a long time. It's really complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. You don't feel normal. Like, everything about your world feels like it is not normal. So I just wanted to talk about coping skills that you can have during this time. And, none of these transits last forever. They really don't. Even transits with Pluto where it might last 5 years. It might be a really hard time where Pluto keeps moving back and forth over this point in your chart, and it's just painful. There's just a lot of stuff coming up and it feels like it's never going to end. These are some things you can do during that process. Number 1, just breathe. Now, this sounds stupid and very basic, but if you go back to the breath, if you go back to focusing on breathing in and out, the world is going to start making sense again, just a little bit. Just realizing that you are this tiny ant on a rock hurtling through a universe in outer space. You are so insignificant. Your problems are not real. They are heartbreaking and devastating and all this stuff, but they are not permanent, and they might only be important to you. So just going back to the breath, just going back to the realization that you are this person in this lifetime set here for a purpose, set here to learn specific lessons. And you are going through this time of hardship as one of those lessons that you came here to learn. Number 2, journal and document what is going on. There are so many times that we go through hard times and we don't write it down. We just kind of like buckle down and tense up and try to get through it no matter what. And it's so important to document those times. Document what made you feel good during this process. Document all the little things that happened that didn't go the way you wanted it to. Especially if you're going through a divorce or dealing with any kind of legal battle or anything, documentation is very, very, very important. So just on a practical level, make sure you're documenting everything. But on an emotional level, it's very important too to validate your experience. So to write down who said what, to write down what exactly happened on Thursday the 21st. It's very important to write those things down and make sure you have some kind of chronology of everything that you're going through. This is going to be helpful years from now when you're helping a child going through the same thing. Or even just looking back, 10 years after this really hard transit has passed, you can look back and be like, that is what that felt like. That is everything that happened during that time that I survived, that I lived through, that I learned from. Number 3, think of the story. Now, this is extremely important because your life is not isolated from other people. Your years are not isolated from each other. You are constantly playing out this story, and things that happened in chapter 2 years old of your life are going to be relevant in chapter 22 years old of your life. And so it's really important just to remember that all this is part of your story. You know, some coping skills that I give to clients who come to me during hard transits are to sit back and think about your life as a story, as the main character. And so instead of being like, oh my God, what's going to happen next to me? This is so terrible. Look at it kind of from the outside, from the bird's eye view, where you're like, what's going to happen next to this character? That might really help during this time too, because it shifts the perspective and it makes it so that you're thinking of, you know, what advice would I give to a person, a friend, a daughter, a mother going through this same experience? And it allows you to become more objective about your life and less subjective, where you're like, oh my God, why me? And having a pity party and just feeling like it's never going to end and just feeling very stuck in this situation. It's like looking at it from the outside. And so that's very helpful, just to pull you out of it, where it doesn't feel like you're just being dragged along for the ride. It feels like you are watching the ride. You are watching this story play out. Number 4, talk to an expert. I think this is very important. There have been so many points in my life where I've consulted an astrologer. I personally offer readings if anybody is interested in that, but also going to the right expert. So if you're having a lot of issues surrounding theology, it might be good to seek out a pastor or somebody of the religious faith with those expertise. If you're going through a lot of like family stuff where it's like all these relationships keep coming up and memories and triggers from your childhood, you know, it might be really good to consult a therapist. If you feel like astrology is what you need at the time, there are hundreds, probably thousands of really amazing astrologers out there that can help you with this process. So consulting an expert, I think, is so important because it's so easy for us to self-diagnose, and we tend to do it in a more negative way than is actually accurate. And so consulting a professional, somebody who can actually help you during this process, see it from an outside point of view, encourage you in the places where you need to be encouraged, I think that is so invaluable. Number 5, just buckle down and learn what you gotta learn. You know, after consulting a therapist or an astrologer, somebody who's like, you know, these are the deficits, these are the areas that you need to build up. These things are so important to actually learn during these transits. If you just buckle down and hold your breath and try to get through it, oftentimes these transits aren't going to go away. They're just kind of gonna hold on. They're gonna be that essence in the background of the rest of your life because you didn't follow the energies. You didn't learn what you were supposed to learn. If you're going through a divorce, you might need to learn very important things about how you are in relationships, not the other person, not how much a narcissistic relationship hurts you or your family or anything, but in what ways are you harmful to others? In what ways are you letting people treat you in a certain way that you would never treat another soul? Maybe you're going through a really deep financial hardship. Instead of being like, well, inflation is the problem, my bank is the problem, scammers are the problem. Stepping back and being like, what do I need to learn about my finances? What do I need to sit down and actually educate myself on and have the uncomfortable conversations with myself and my family about where my money goes? These are all things, depending on where the hardship is happening in your life, that you really need to buckle down and learn. You need to follow that energy of the stars, where if you're going through a really hard transit, it's to give you a really valuable lesson, a really golden piece of knowledge. And if you sit there through the hard transit and refuse to learn about it, that is an opportunity wasted. And so just making sure you are really sitting down with everything that's going on and actually learning the lessons, not just trying to grin and bear it and get through it, but actually learning what you're supposed to be learning. If you guys are going through really hard times, please feel free to reach out to me. I am available for readings. If you guys are willing to share about the times that you're going through and different things that helped, I think that would really help anybody watching and reading the comments. So feel free to add that below as well. But I hope you guys are doing okay, and I'm in the back rooting for you, knowing that you're gonna make it, knowing that you're gonna come out stronger. So keep it up, y'all. Take care.